Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you wished you had just kept your mouth shut? Where saying something only made matters worse? Well, you're not alone. We've all been there. But what if I told you that there are certain situations where silence is always the best policy? Where biting your tongue can save you a world of trouble. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 situations where you should always choose silence over speaking. Welcome, my friends. Today we're going to explore a topic that can have a profound impact on your life, the power of silence. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking, but I'm an outspoken person. I believe in always speaking my mind. And while there is certainly a time and place for voicing your thoughts and opinions, there are also moments where silence truly is golden. Moments where keeping quiet is the smartest, most beneficial thing you can do. Let's start with the first situation when you're angry. We've all been there. Something or someone pushes our buttons and we feel that surge of anger welling up inside us. Our natural instinct is often to lash out, to let that person know exactly how we feel. But let me tell you, speaking in anger rarely leads to positive outcomes. When we're in the heat of the moment, we tend to say things we later regret. We might use hurtful words or make rash decisions that we can't take back. So the next time you feel your blood starting to boil, take a deep breath and stay silent. Give yourself time to calm down and collect your thoughts. You can always express yourself later when you're in a more rational state of mind. Trust me, you'll be glad you waited. The second situation where silence is golden is when you're in the middle of an argument. This one piggybacks off the first point. When we're embroiled in a heated disagreement with someone, tensions are high and emotions are running wild. It's easy to get caught up in the back and forth, to feel like we need to have the last word. But often, the best thing we can do in these situations is to simply stay quiet. Refuse to engage in the mudslinging. Be the bigger person and let the other individual vent if they need to. By not adding fuel to the fire, you prevent the argument from escalating and give both parties a chance to cool off. It's not about letting the other person win. It's about preserving your own peace of mind and preventing the situation from getting out of hand. Remember, sometimes saying nothing says everything. The third situation where you should consider keeping quiet is when you're tempted to gossip. Let's face it, gossiping is a common pastime. We've all found ourselves in situations where we're privy to some juicy information about someone else and feel the urge to share it. But engaging in gossip is a slippery slope. Not only is it hurtful and disrespectful to the person you're talking about, but it also reflects poorly on your own character. When you choose to stay silent instead of spreading rumors or speaking negatively about others behind their backs, you demonstrate integrity and trustworthiness. You show that you're someone who can be counted on to keep confidences and who refuses to engage in petty drama. And in the long run, that's the kind of reputation you want to cultivate. So the next time you're tempted to partake in a gossip session, bite your tongue and find something more positive to talk about. Now let's talk about the fourth situation where silence is the way to go when you're receiving criticism. Nobody likes to be criticized. It's a blow to our ego and can put us on the defensive. But how we respond to criticism says a lot about our maturity and professionalism. When someone offers you constructive feedback, the knee-jerk reaction might be to defend yourself or argue your case. But in reality, the wisest thing you can do is to simply listen in silence. Don't interrupt, don't make excuses, just hear them out. By staying quiet, you give yourself the opportunity to really absorb what they're saying and reflect on it objectively. Maybe they have a valid point that you hadn't considered. Or maybe you completely disagree with their assessment. Either way, by listening silently and then taking time to process their words, you can formulate a thoughtful and measured response if needed. And even if you choose not to respond at all, you still handle the situation with grace and professionalism. Finally, the fifth situation where silence is your best friend is when you're in doubt. Let's say you're in a meeting or a group discussion and a topic comes up that you're not entirely sure about. You have an opinion, but you're not confident it's fully informed. In these moments, it's always better to stay silent than to risk putting your foot in your mouth. There's no shame in admitting that you need more information before weighing in. In fact, it shows maturity and wisdom to recognize the limits of your knowledge. That by staying quiet and listening to what others have to say, you give yourself the chance to learn and expand your understanding. And if you still feel unsure, there's nothing wrong with asking questions or requesting more time to research the issue before offering your thoughts. Remember, it's better to be silent and thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Now, I want to take a moment to emphasize that staying silent doesn't mean completely disengaging or tuning out. Quite the opposite, in fact. When you choose not to speak, it gives you the opportunity to practice active listening. This means giving the other person your full attention, making eye contact, and showing through your body language that you're engaged and interested in what they have to say. Active listening is a powerful skill that can improve all of your relationships, both personal and professional. It demonstrates respect, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand the other person's perspective. So when you find yourself in one of these situations where silence is the best approach, use it as a chance to really tune in and absorb what's being said. It's also worth noting that staying silent doesn't mean you can't communicate at all. In fact, nonverbal cues like facial expressions, gestures, and posture can often convey more than words ever could. A simple nod of the head or a sympathetic smile can show that you're listening and that you care. A calm, open stance can diffuse tension and put the other person at ease. So even when you're not speaking, remember that you're still sending a message. Be mindful of your body language and use it to reinforce your silent support and understanding. Choosing to stay silent in these key situations can have a range of positive effects on your life. For one, it can help you avoid unnecessary conflict and drama. By not engaging in arguments or gossip, you sidestep a lot of the negativity and stress that can come from those interactions. Additionally, practicing silence can make you a better listener and communicator. When you're not focused on formulating your own response, you're able to really hear and process what the other person is saying. This can lead to deeper, more meaningful conversations and stronger, more authentic relationships. And perhaps most importantly, choosing silence in these moments demonstrates emotional intelligence and self-control. It shows that you're able to put your ego aside and prioritize peace, understanding, and growth. Now, I want to be clear that I'm not advocating for being silent all the time. There are absolutely situations where speaking up is necessary and important. If you witness something unethical or unjust happening, for example, it's crucial that you use your voice to stand up for what's right. Or if you have an idea or opinion that you feel strongly about and that could contribute positively to a discussion, by all means, share it. The key is to be discerning and to choose your words and your moments wisely. Speak up when it truly matters, but also know when staying quiet is the best course of action. Cultivating the wisdom to know when to speak and when to stay silent takes practice and self-awareness. It requires you to be honest with yourself about your motivations, your knowledge, and your emotional state in any given situation. One helpful tool for developing this awareness is regular self-reflection. Take time each day to sit quietly with your thoughts and feelings. Ask yourself questions like, why do I feel the need to speak up right now? Is it coming from a place of ego or a place of genuine contribution? Do I have all the facts, or am I making assumptions? Am I reacting emotionally, or am I able to respond thoughtfully? The more you get in the habit of checking in with yourself, the easier it will become to make conscious, intentional choices about when to use your voice and when to embrace silence. I know that staying silent in challenging situations is easier said than done. Our egos can be fragile, and it's natural to want to defend ourselves or prove our point. But I promise you, there is immense strength and power in restraint. When you choose not to engage in petty arguments, when you refuse to be baited into saying something you'll regret, when you prioritize listening over speaking, that's a sign of true confidence and character. It takes a certain self-assuredness to be comfortable with silence, to not feel the need to fill every space with words. And that's the kind of self-possession that commands respect and admiration from others. The beautiful thing about practicing silence is that it has a ripple effect. When you model this kind of restraint and wisdom in your own interactions, people take notice. Your calm, measured approach can diffuse tense situations and inspire others to follow suit. You become a role model for emotional intelligence and effective communication. And as more and more people see the benefits of choosing silence in key moments, it can start to shift the culture around us. Imagine a world where people listen more than they speak, where they think before they react, where they prioritize understanding over proving a point. That's the kind of world I want to live in. And it starts with each of us making the conscious choice to embrace silence when it matters most. One powerful tool for cultivating the ability to stay silent in challenging situations is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about being present and aware in the moment, observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you regularly engage in mindfulness techniques like meditation or deep breathing, it becomes easier to catch yourself in those moments when you're tempted to speak impulsively. You develop the ability to pause, to create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you give yourself the opportunity to choose a more thoughtful, intentional approach. At its core, the ability to stay silent when it's warranted is a matter of self-control. It's about being able to regulate your own emotions and impulses, even in the face of provocation or discomfort. And like any skill, self-control can be strengthened with practice. Every time you successfully choose silence in a challenging situation, you're reinforcing that muscle. You're proving to yourself that you have the discipline and the wisdom to rise above the momentary urge to speak. And the more you flex that muscle, the stronger it becomes. Over time, staying silent when it matters most will start to feel like second nature. The choice to stay silent is also closely tied to emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage your own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. When you have a high degree of emotional intelligence, you're able to read the emotional landscape of a situation and respond in a way that's appropriate and constructive. You can sense when tensions are running high, when egos are fragile, or when someone just needs to be heard. And you can adjust your approach accordingly, choosing silence when that's what the moment calls for. One of the most effective ways to create space for silence in a conversation is to master the art of the pause. When someone says something that triggers you or that you disagree with, resist the urge to jump in immediately with your response. Instead, take a breath. Allow a moment of silence to hang in the air. That pause can be incredibly powerful. It gives you a chance to collect your thoughts and choose your words carefully. It also signals to the other person that you're truly listening, that you're taking their perspective seriously. And sometimes in that moment of silence, the other person may continue speaking, revealing additional insights or even resolving the issue on their own. It's important to understand that staying silent doesn't mean you're weak or that you're letting the other person win. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Silence can be a sign of immense inner strength and confidence. When you're secure in yourself and your beliefs, you don't feel the need to constantly defend or prove yourself. You're able to let go of the ego's need to be right and instead focus on what's best for the situation as a whole. That kind of confidence is incredibly attractive and compelling. It draws people to you and makes them want to listen when you do choose to speak. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is the gift of your undivided attention. When you stay silent and truly listen, you create a safe space for the other person to express themselves fully. You show them that their thoughts and feelings matter, that they're worthy of being heard. In a world where everyone is clamoring to be heard, being a silent listener is a rare and precious thing. It's how you build trust, deepen relationships, and make people feel valued. And it's a skill that will serve you well in every area of your life. But perhaps the most compelling reason to embrace silence is the role it plays in problem solving. When we're faced with a challenge or a complex issue, our first instinct is often to start talking. We want to brainstorm solutions, debate options, and assert our opinions. But sometimes the best thing we can do is to simply stay quiet and think. By giving ourselves the time and space to reflect silently, we allow our minds to work through the problem in a deeper, more focused way. We can consider angles we might have overlooked, spot patterns and connections, and arrive at insights that we never would have reached in the midst of a noisy discussion. This is particularly true when we're working with others to solve a problem. It's easy to get caught up in the back and forth, to feel like we need to have an immediate response to every suggestion or concern. But by staying silent, we create room for everyone to contribute their ideas without fear of interruption or judgment. We allow the best solutions to emerge organically, rather than trying to force them through sheer verbal dominance. And when we do speak, it's with the benefit of having truly listened and processed what others have said. Of course, there will be times when you need to speak up in a problem-solving context. If you have expertise or insight that's critical to the issue at hand, it's important to share it. But even then, the way you communicate matters. Rather than stating your opinions as irrefutable facts, try posing them as questions or possibilities. Invite others to build on your ideas or offer alternative perspectives. By approaching the conversation with an open and curious mindset, you create a collaborative environment where the best solutions can flourish. Ultimately, the power of silence in problem solving comes down to two key things: active listening and thoughtful contemplation. When you give others the space to express their thoughts fully, you gain a richer understanding of the issue and the various viewpoints surrounding it. And when you give yourself the time to reflect deeply on what you've heard, you're able to approach the problem with a level of clarity and insight that's simply not possible in the heat of a verbal exchange. So the next time you're faced with a challenging problem, whether at work, at home, or in your community, try embracing silence as your first response. Take a step back, listen intently to what others have to say, and give yourself permission to think quietly before jumping in with your own ideas. You may be surprised at the depth and wisdom of the solutions that emerge. As we come to the end of our exploration of silence, I want to leave you with a final thought. Choosing silence is not about passivity or avoidance. It's about actively cultivating a deeper, more intentional way of engaging with the world around us. It's about having the courage to put our egos aside and really listen, to approach challenges with humility and an open mind, and to speak only when our words can make a positive difference. Mastering the art of silence is a lifelong journey, one that requires ongoing practice and self-reflection. There will be times when you slip up, when you speak impulsively or let your emotions get the best of you. That's okay. What matters is that you keep coming back to that place of quiet wisdom. that you keep striving to be the kind of person who uplifts and unites rather than divides. Remember, silence is a powerful tool, but it's one that must be wielded with care and discretion. Use it to build understanding, to foster collaboration, and to bring more peace and positivity into the world. And when you do choose to speak, let it be with the intention of making a meaningful contribution, of using your voice to uplift and inspire. My friends, I challenge you to start practicing the power of silence today. The next time you find yourself in one of those 5 situations we discussed, take a moment to pause and reflect before reacting. Notice how it feels to let go of the need to have the last word, to be the one who's always right. Pay attention to the ways in which your relationships deepen and your interactions become more meaningful as a result. And as you continue on this journey of growth and self-discovery, know that you're not alone. We're all learning and evolving together, striving to become the best versions of ourselves. By embracing silence and using it wisely, we can create a world that is more compassionate, more connected, and more truly alive. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of the power of silence. I hope you'll carry these insights with you as you navigate the challenges and opportunities of your own life. Remember, silence is a gift. Use it well, and it will serve you in ways you never could have imagined.